How's it going? Hope you're having a great day. And this is the companion commentary to the photo project NYC. And so this project here actually started off with a different name. And in the last video, fancy that, where I talked about where I made some tweaks, adding a few photos and changing the the layout, or the sequence, as I should say. I decided to change the name of this project on the digital version because I grew to really not like the title of NYC's original title to NYC, which was Juxtapose. I just don't like the word any. I didn't like it soon after. I think it was like a rush thing. It was like one of those things. I thought of the idea. Like I didn't know what to title it, and then I just titled it Juxtapose because it was like, I don't know. Like it's just, to me, it's too nothing cool about it. So let's get right into it. So this is the physical version of Juxtapose. And this one's thicker than the last one, and the paper, you could tell, is, like, getting, yeah, a little suspect over time. But, I was definitely pushing the limit on the amount of of pages. And I talked about the print quality last one, the cover on this one at least, like, there's print lines kind of all over this one. But so Juxtapose, now titled NYC, is obviously photos from New York City. I think Juxtapose kind of, I just hate that name. And then the number, as I've said, the numbers don't mean anything anymore. But I'm glad to go over these uh, these projects like this. Doing these commentaries, this how things started. You know what I mean? Where they're at now, and how times have changed, and uh, creatively, and just how what you can do, and the origin stories in a way. So this was this project was photographed over the course of, I mean, it's, I think, 2 days, but when you really look at it, it made a course of, like, a dozen hours maybe, you know? So it's, and I remember when I was shooting the photos, like, it was very weird. It's kinda like, when I think of this project, I think of, like, say, like, golf or something like that, where, like, that someone has, like, this crazy golf round, like, they're, you know what I mean? I think it's just that's what I felt like when I was there. I was just getting photos that, like, I really liked, and now, like, looking back, I'm like, it I don't know what was going on, but I was getting some good stuff, and with that short amount of time, this is my first time in New York, and maybe that had to played a part with it. Maybe I was just really hyper focused on seeing things. I don't know. So anyways, let's get into the book, now titled NYC. This was in Central Park, and I like I like the angle of this photo. It's very, very different. So I was definitely experimenting. I was trying to get photos bigger with a smaller size. I think that's what I'm still glad I did that. I think every zine has its own kind of, like, different look to it on the inside, even though they're very you can make them simply. Got the pairs going on here. This is on Wall Street. Went quite a few places for the time when I was there. I think this is a boo print, I think. Can't remember. Or I had it available as a print at one point. I really like this photo. So funny, like, I mean, I'm literally like, what I like about these is I totally forgot I even laid this out. Like, I'm not looking through these or thinking of ideas of what to talk about with these. I grab them and hit record. I remember this being one of my favorites. I get why, because there's a bunch of people, but no one that you can really see. Like, you don't see really any faces. And I love the black and white bag, the all black outfit, kind of singled out. The height is awesome. I think you sense some stress on that one. Really like the look here too. I feel like this one I was definitely catching a lot of like emotion. You know what I mean? Like a lot of emotion in these. I mean, the thing with one thing I should point out too, this one's not staple bound like the other ones are, as you can tell. Um, I mean, thing with New York, I mean, there's a lot of chances out there, a lot going on. This one, this one's like real interesting. Like this stare to this person here, just looking. I don't know. Very interesting photo. Again, like the emotions in these photos. This is like near like where the Twin Towers were. In this photo, there's not going on in this photo. You know, this carrying this TV, uh, like the Sonic the Hedgehog shirt. She's smoking the cigarette, bandaged up, just garbage. I don't know. There's a lot going on in this photo. I like it. Keep on rotating the book the wrong way too. This one's cool. Really just focusing on obviously the beam of light here. I don't know if you will see that well in the print here, but I like this dog. This one was good too. I was kind of like inspired by just like the shadows. You know what I mean? I was noticing that in New York, where it's just like you got all these tall buildings, so it's just like you're getting these beams of light. So I was trying to capture what I could with that too. Again, some heavy emotion I feel like going on in some of these photos. So some little behind the scenes on this one. So it's interesting. Like, she's holding this newspaper, Silent Killers, DC Bloodbath. So you kind of have an interesting like newspaper look here, even though we're in New York. That that's how it's a DC headline there. And then this is actually Larky, which I talked about, um, which is a heart photographer friend. He's holding the camera there, and this wasn't like, I mean, we were literally on this train thing, and like this wasn't planned. Like I think he just literally went like this to like rub his eye, so and I just shot the photo, and but it looks like she's looking at this like crazy news, and he's kind of like looking away, so it's kind of like that interesting vibe. And then I kind of just like too if you're just like someone's like looking at me, oh yeah, person's holding the camera, and yeah, that's I have an extra page here at the end, and that is NYC, aka Juxtapose NYC. So yeah, let's scope out the digital version here. Again, you can view every project I've done for free on the website, bsmitty.com. So let's see how I got things laid out here. Again, you can tell the layout is instantly different than I started it the same, but it goes into things differently. And how I did all of these online is I have the photos and folders, and there's things that were in the folders that maybe didn't make it to print, maybe they made it digital, maybe they didn't, but I lay them out in this, single kind of slideshow version, and I go from there. So like I might not like how that certain photos follow each other in that aspect compared to how I had it. Again, these are decisions I made early on in the game. I'll go back to that Seinfeld thing. It's a couple years old in that in that aspect as a um, and especially as making, this is my like I don't know if these numbers are even correct. Like I was saying, these numbers are kind of different because I was going scenes and different things, whatever. It's like my fourth or whatever, fifth, something like that project within 2 years. So I was early in kind of preparing things, like just like I mentioned in the previous project. commentary fancy that where I would change the 2 photos around. So now I'm like, when I'm going through this, especially with a different type of viewing experience, I made some changes. It's nice, like, kinda again, this was the same kind of paper as the last one, just your standard paper, and, um, looking at 'em here, like, it's nice seeing the quality here. Like, so this was the cover here, but I let in with a different, um, photo than the cover of the original. And obviously, the main difference is just, like, the colors. When you're printing on regular copy paper and you're not gonna get the color right? You're not gonna get the colors how they actually look. Again, added photos. You can see, like, if I'm making a paper project, paper book, and I'm like, I can only have so many pages. There's some photos I'm like, I like, but take out and have had certain meanings, but, like, for the sake of the book, they had to be removed. Again, you can notice cameras involved here. So you can tell there's a lot more photos. I shouldn't say a lot. There's more photos um, included from this project, which that's such a again. I could say it a million times. Like, having the projects available on here is a nice luxury. I can experiment. I can have little things that, like, I would have liked to have done. Maybe I wasn't thinking of it back then, but now when I'm putting projects together, I can draw a vibe out. You know what I mean? I can have some, like, imagery or however you wanna say it, like, some storytelling expanded, within more photos because I'm not held back by the cost of something. You can kinda tell, like, doing this too, like, it makes more sense doing, like, a different title than how I originally had it. And if I'm pretty sure all of these photos were shot with probably I think it was the original actually, this might have been the X100S, Stack the X100. Not 100% on that. And I definitely so that, wanna be, like, kinda give as much, like, value in the sense of, like, behind the scenes as well, you know? And with this project and some other older ones, especially I will get to it in Ciphers and Stones, my most recent one at the time of this recording. But, these photos, I know, um, I went through and reprocessed some of these photos. More so like a not yeah, just I'll just leave it at that. Some of them reprocessed to look how I would I intended to at the time. I even at this time, I still think I was yeah, for sure. At this time, I still had a, kind of computer is that called? Um, I used to always remember. Now I can't remember. My age is catching up with me. Toshiba. I had a Toshiba laptop, brand new. It cost like $300, and the screen was like the old school laptop screen. And so like when I went through all these projects, I'm glad I don't have my photos organized that well, but it's okay enough. I'm glad I had folders for these projects at least. And, so there's, like especially yeah, it's just some reprocessing to kinda make it look better and helping my mistakes out, and that is so Larky, I don't know if he does it as much. I've definitely seen him still do it, but he shoots, like, these statues around, and this is, like, along the way, and I like how it ends with that and goes to this. So, yeah, that was New York, or I should say NYC. I'd say for me, this was kind of a one of those things like, it was a great kind of progression of, going from dehydrated, which is, like, basically, "Alright, I'm shooting these portraits because that's what I knew outside of skateboarding was, I was shooting some portraits, and I was kind of just getting into it, you know what I mean? Getting into outside of skateboarding photography. Then the one-day project at 11/11, I'm definitely like, "Cool, I'm just shooting kind of what's around." And it's fancy that, which is a little bit of what I'm finding myself in my new way of making photos and how I see things. And then this was kind of just really the full send, like, I kinda solidified myself as, like, a photographer, I think, in this project. For the very minimal time I was there, like, these photos, again, it's 2 walks, 2 photo walks. I mean, one was most of a day, and I remember exhausted, and it was partial another day. I think that's pretty much what it was, and and this is what came of it. And looking back, really hyped on this, and there's photos I know that I shot. Like, there's this one photo specifically, and I don't know where it is, and I hope it's in my archive. Um, but yeah, there's a photo even when I was making this, I was like, "I need to find that photo to add to this," and I don't know where it's at. Again, my archive's not the most organized, but, I know I had a hard drive failure at one point. I don't know if, like, for some weird reason, may have had some files on there. I don't like to think too much about that because I know there's files that are missing that I know of, and it's always a bummer. Again, back your stuff up on multiple drives, or you'll learn the pain of losing photos or videos, whatever you're doing. Um, so that's my extra tip with this, companion commentary. And I want to thank you for, hanging out, checking out these photos with me. It's really fun going through these projects because, like, putting these all together was, like, really fun. But I was all in the folders. It's cool to, like, kind of, like, pull these out and tell the stories. Like, when I was putting all these digital projects together, it was definitely fun to go through it, but it was, like, very much like business of, like, all right, what looks good here, what looks good there in the layout. You know what I mean? I was very focused on that aspect, not so much like the experience and the process. So it's kind of nice to go through this, and hopefully you enjoy it as well. And definitely just make stuff. Like, it's crazy, like, doing these things. I just made them. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like 100% wasn't gonna make a living on doing this stuff, right? Yeah, it's just I wanted to start making books. I was super hyped on, and still am. I'm still making. I mean, this past year, I went, like, full crazy, made spiral bound books, so I'm still doing it. But, this is the early stages of me, like, really being motivated and inspired by Alexos, um, self-published books and all that, and obviously, it still carries to this day, and I'm always experimenting, and like I mentioned earlier, every single one has its own kind of vibe, um, whether it's just subtle ones or, you know, a full-on different experience, and I'm excited to get to, like, the early COVID ones, 'cause I kinda get that's when I start getting real creative and different with things too. But, anyways, I can just keep on talking about photography all day, so I'm gonna cut myself off there. Um, if you haven't yet, hit me over on Instagram at OGBSmitty. Again, my website, bsmitty.com, has everything for projects. You can view 'em all. But, if you wanna wait to the next commentaries, that's cool too. I don't know how fast they're gonna be coming out, but, I'm definitely trying to get, you know I don't know how many projects I have available on the site. It's a lot, maybe like 20, over 20, I'm not sure. But, anyways, Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.